Hey everybody, my name is Jordan, I'm a music teacher, and today I'm going to teach you everything you could possibly know about the number system. This goes your more traditional Roman numeral analysis, and then the more casual Nashville number system. We're going to talk about, say you're in a band, or you're in a church band, you're a theory student, or you want to be able to analyze classical music. This video is for you because we're going to cover all of it. So the first thing that we need to know in music is scale degrees. So this just means, say we're in the key of C, which this applies for every single instrument, but it's easiest to demonstrate on the piano. So in the key of C, we just start off with a C, and then all of our scale degrees, if you know the musical alphabet, I'm assuming you do, we just go A through G and then we repeat. So if we start on C, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, back to C. So all you need to know is no matter what key we're in, wherever we're starting gets the designation of 1, and we go up to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this goes for any key. And in music, you know that keys can get complicated. Just remember the whole step, half step, whole step, half step formula for your major scales. And you'll be able to nail these anytime you need to. It just takes a little bit of practice though. Let's say we're in the key of A flat. We have 4 accidentals. So that can get kind of tough to say, oh, where am I at scale degree wise? All you have to know is it follows the same formula in regards to like the alphabet. So we're still going to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. You can figure the accidentals out later. So just remember, if I'm in the key of A flat and I say scale degree 1, it's still an A. It's just a flattened A. If I say scale degree 4, it's still A, B, C, D. It's just a D flat in this key. So it takes a little bit of practice to be able to really navigate around it. But just know it's easier than it sounds. So let's go back to the key of C where everything is nice and simple. Our scale degree 1 is just going to be a C major chord. And say we're using the Roman numeral system, we would just designate this as a Roman numeral 1. And if you've seen the Star Wars films, you know all your Roman numerals from 1 through 7. So like I said, C is 1, D is 2, and we're just using the notes that are diatonic to the key of C. So we're only using white keys. So like this is a D major chord, but we don't have access to this F sharp because we're not in that key right now. So we play a D minor. So all the ones in the key of C will be C major, the 1, D minor, the 2nd, E, 3rd, F, 4, G, 5, A, 6, B is 7, right back where we started. So let's talk about whether they're major or minor and how we talk about that. So a major chord is just going to be an uppercase 1, Roman numeral. If we have a minor chord, it's going to be a lowercase. So you'll see that we'll just put a lowercase 2 there, lowercase 3 because we have a minor chord, uppercase 4 for the major 4, uppercase 5 for that major 5th, lowercase 6. This is actually a diminished 7, so this will get 7s are always diminished, so we'll make it lowercase, but we'll put a little circle at the end of it. And then finally, we're right back where we started. So remember this formula. I know I just threw a lot of information at you, but fundamentally, let's just remember the 1 through 7, which ones are uppercase, which ones are lowercase, because that's really the only thing that we'll need from this. So let's talk about how we're actually going to use these Roman numerals in a song, a pop song starting off. So whether you play in church or you play for a rock band or whatever, these are so integral to the point where I don't even think about chords anymore. I think about numbers primarily. So I'm going to take the Harry Styles song As It Was, and we'll just look at the chords of this. So for this song, we're in the key of A major, which has 3 accidentals. It's a C sharp, F sharp, and a G sharp. Whenever we start this song, I'll just tell you the chords first, and then we'll talk about how to assign numbers to them. We're going to start with a D chord. And then from here, we go to a B minor chord, and then it's an E chord, before finally going to the A. And it actually just repeats that literally the entire song. So when we start on this G chord, we're not starting on the chord that we're in the key of. So for this piece, we're in the key of A. Let's figure out what D is from A. A, B, C sharp, D. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 4th. And we know, because this is just a diatonic key, it's going to be a major 4. So let's go ahead and just jot that down that we're playing with a 4th to start off. The next chord is this B minor chord, which if we count up 1 in key of A, 1, 2, oh look at that, it's the minor 2nd. The next chord we're going to play is an E, which let's count A, B, C, D, E. It's a 5, and we know that 5s are major, so it's a perfect 5th. So it's an uppercase V for that one. And then finally we end on the A, which is just the 1. So we have an uppercase Roman numeral 1 there. So our whole progression goes uppercase 4, lowercase 2, uppercase 5, and uppercase 1. So instead of thinking about those chords now, we can just think in the key of A, 4, 2, 5, 1, just like that. So where this becomes so important as a musician, say the singer shows up to practice and says, oh, I'm really sick, or this song is just a little bit high from my range. I need to move it down 1/2 step. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have to memorize all these chords again. No, you don't, because the 4, 2, 5, 1 stays the same no matter what we're doing. So right now in the key of A. Let's go a whole step down. That'll be easier for you guys to see. So now we're going down to G. Instead of in the key of A, we're in the key of G. So just quickly, what would be the 4th in the key of G? We'll do it. It's a C. So now instead of a D, we're going to start with a C major chord. The next one was a minor 2, so we go to an A minor. The next one was the 5, so now we have a D, and eventually we end on the G. So let's just try it out in this key. We have the 4 chord, minor 2, 5. And just like that, we just transpose the entire song. Let's try it one more time. The singer is really struggling to sing that high, so they have to move it down again. So now F is the 1. The 4 is actually going to be a B, but in the key of F, we have a B flat. So we have a B flat, and then the minor in this key would be a G minor, because we still have this B flat. That's the only accidental we have. So we go from a B flat to the minor 2. What was the next one? 5, which will be a C, because F, G, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C, and then eventually we'll go to the F. So just like that, we have the same exact progression. What was the next one? C. And so just by knowing this Roman numeral analysis, instead of memorizing lots of different chord progressions, you can just quickly latch onto those numbers and you can play it in any key you want to. The other really helpful thing about Roman numeral analysis is we can be very accurate with what we want. So right here, I'm going to take it to another level. The first thing we're going to talk about is inversions. So any chord, let's just say a C. We have what's called root position. Say I rearranged it a little bit. So now I have an E, G, C, same chord, but it has a different function. We call this the first inversion chord. And then if I do it again, we have the second inversion. And then if we do it again, we're back in our root position. So all of those, we have root, first, second, and root. So one of the really cool things about this number system is we can use a little code to show us what inversion we're in. For root position, we say nothing. So just keeping it right there, we are in root position. But if we go to this first inversion, all we need to do is put a little 6 next to it to demonstrate that our E is now in the bass. Or whatever chord, say we're on an A chord, we're just putting that second note in the bass line. And the reason why we use a 6 is because, check it out, in between E and C, we have a 6th interval now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then finally, for this one, we're gonna put a 6 over a 4 next to it. And so all that demonstrates is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. We're making a 6th interval and a 4th interval, and then back to the root position. Another thing we can use to communicate with Roman numerals is chord extensions. So traditionally we just have triads, but say I added this extra note. This is the 7th. Above the 7th is the 9, the 11th, and then the 13th. So this is pretty advanced, but say I wanted to add a sharp 11 to my chord, and it sounded like that. All I would put next to it is sharp 11 next to, I would have Roman numeral 1, and it would just have a sharp 11. I know that's complicated, so don't worry about that yet, but we can use this to communicate a lot of different things. And then ultimately, this is where it gets really cool. So sometimes in music, we have something called borrowed chords. So like we talked about in this key, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and they always stay the same. But what if we wanted to borrow a chord from another key? So an example of this would be, say I took this C, and instead of going to a E minor, I went to an E major. And that was my new chord progression. So instead of putting a lowercase 3 there, I'm just going to put an uppercase 3 there instead. Uppercase 3. And then back to the 4. And so just like that, we have a really effective way of communicating altered chords. So say I wanted to go to a minor 5, I would just put a lowercase 5. And now I know that we're going to this one. And just like that, I would have a minor 5, uppercase 3, back to the 4. To make this into the Nashville number system, which if you play in pop music, you'll see this a lot more regularly. Instead of using Roman numerals, we just use regular old numbers. So this would be 1, 2, 3, using our Arabic numbers, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And to notate whether it's major or minor, if it's a major chord, we just put nothing next to it. If it's a minor, we just put a lowercase m next to it. And for this kind of system, it's not often as specific as the Roman numerals, so you won't see inversions as much, but the inversions and 7th chords function in the exact same way. So if you wanted to have like a 4th inversion, it would just be 4, 6, etc. So yeah, let's talk about the Harry Styles song again. Just using this one, we would just have a 1 to a 2, but next to the 2, we just put a 2, M. And then finally we go to the 5, which was this, and then we go back to the 1. So that would just be 4, 2M, 5, number 5, and then 1. And let's look at how useful this will be in a classical analysis. I'm just referencing my music real quick. We're going to be looking at a Bach piece, and this is like a fundamental chord analysis piece because in each measure, we literally just use the chord tones and nothing else, so it makes it so easy. And if you haven't heard this song before, it's really, really beautiful, easy to play, and it goes like this. So if you look at this very first measure, we have a C, E, G, C, E. And you'll notice those are the only notes in the whole first measure. So just to analyze that, we have a C, E, G, C, E. Boom, it's a root position C chord. So we'll just put a Roman numeral 1 right by it. It's literally that easy. Next chord, C, D, A, D, F. So taking these notes, this big old cluster, if we just rearrange a little bit, we have a D, F, A, C, just like that, which is a D minor 7 chord. But because the C's in the bass, we're going to have to notate that as a 7th chord. This is a little bit more complicated, but 7th chord inversions go like this. Just remember 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Just counting down from 7. We call the root position 7. If we were to invert it, we call that 6, 5. Just remember, because there's a 6th and a 5th included in there. And then the next inversion, we call it 4, 3, because there's a 4th and a 3rd in there. Finally, we call this one 2, because there's this 2 right here between the 7 and the 1. And that's the one that we're using right here. So actually, all we would do for this is write a lowercase 2 and then put an actual digit 2 next to it to notate that we're going from a 1, so major 1, to the minor 2, 3rd inversion. And then for the next chord, let's look at it. We have a B, D, G, D, F. Another 7th chord. So let's rearrange it. G, B, D, F will be the root position of this chord. So it's a G dominant 7. So we would just put a 7 next to it. But because that B is in the bass, it's a inversion. So using how we just did, 7 would be G. 6, 5 is the B in the bass. So just like that, it is a 6-5 chord. So this, all we will put for this is a 5 Roman numeral with a 6-5 next to it. And then right here, we're right back to where we started. So it's just a 1, which if you guys have ever played jazz music before, this is literally a 2-5-1. So we start on the 1. And so it's so funny that this piece was written in like the 1600s, and it follows the same exact song structure as a lot of pop music and jazz music that we would write today. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. This was just a very broad analysis of where our traditional Roman numeral structure and then the Nashville number system, and then why we would want to use it, how effective it is. So whether you're a music university student and you're just looking for some study tips, or you're someone who plays in a band and you want to be able to understand these things, this is just the start. So all the things that you've learned today, it's going to seem overwhelming, but the first thing to work on is just the scale degrees, learning where everything functions. And at first, a lot of music falls into these easy chord progressions, just like we did with the Harry Styles song in the key of A, G, and F, are all really easy to track with. And the more you do it, the more practice you get. I've been doing this stuff for years, and I remember at first, it almost feels like math or chemistry. There's so much thinking you have to do. But eventually, just like how we speak and communicate with each other, it becomes very simple. So thanks again for watching. If you like this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below to let me know whatever questions you have, and I will see y'all next time.